NEC Article 110.11b states that enclosures for electrical equipment shall be provided with means for the entrance of service entrance conductors or raceways. NEC Article 312.5d provides exceptions to the requirement for threaded hubs, including Myers hubs, in certain situations. Firstly, where a rigid metal conduit or intermediate metal conduit is threaded into enclosures with threaded hubs or bosses. Secondly, where type MC cable with fittings that are listed for the enclosure is used. NEC Article 314.23b specifically addresses the use of sealing locknuts in certain situations, including where the threaded hub or boss is provided with a sealing locknut. Based on these NEC articles, it may appear that Myers hubs are not required in the described situation. PVC conduit, which is not threaded, is used, and the conduit enters the enclosure below the level of the termination blocks. Additionally, sealing locknuts are used and the conduit enters. A possible explanation for an inspector's request is that the inspector is referencing a local code requirement or interpretation that is more restrictive than the NEC. Without knowing the specific reasoning behind the inspector's request, it's difficult to speculate on their interpretation. To resolve this issue, it's recommended to have a conversation with the inspector to clarify the reasoning behind the requirement for Myers hubs. The previously mentioned NEC articles can be presented, explaining how the installation meets those requirements. If the inspector still insists on using Myers hubs, it may be necessary to contact the authority having jurisdiction or urge for clarification. Understanding the relevant sections of the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is crucial for ensuring compliance and safety in electrical installations. Let's delve deeper into the specific articles and their implications for your situation. Article 110.11b focuses on the general requirement for enclosures to provide a means for conductors or raceways to enter. This is a fundamental principle ensuring that electrical connections are properly contained and protected. The key here is the phrase means for entrance, which implies a secure and code-compliant method for bringing conductors into the enclosure. Article 312.5d provides important exceptions to the general rule about threaded hubs. It's essential to understand these exceptions as they can significantly affect the materials and methods used in an installation. Exception number 3 applies where rigid metal conduit or intermediate metal conduit is threaded into enclosures with threaded hubs or bosses. This means that if you're using these types of metal conduits and they are directly threaded into the enclosure, you may not need a Myers hub. The threaded connection itself provides a secure and compliant entry. Exception number 4 applies where type NC cable with fittings that are listed for the enclosure is used. NC cable, or metal-clad cable, is a common type of cable that has a metallic outer sheath. If the fittings used with the MC cable are specifically listed for use with the enclosure, then a Myers hub is not required. The listing ensures that the fitting provides an adequate seal and secure connection. Article 314.23b addresses the use of sealing locknuts. These are specialized locknuts designed to provide a watertight seal between the conduit and the enclosure. Section 2 of this article states that where the threaded hub or boss is provided with a sealing locknut, additional measures may not be necessary. This means that if the enclosure already has a threaded hub or boss and you are using a sealing locknut, you may not need a Myers hub. The sealing locknut provides the necessary seal to prevent water from entering the enclosure. Now let's consider the application to your specific situation. You're using PVC conduit, which is not threaded. This is a critical point because the exceptions in Article 312.5d primarily apply to threaded metal conduits or MC cable with listed fittings. Since you are using PVC, those exceptions may not directly apply. However, the fact that your conduit is entering the enclosure below the level of the termination blocks is also relevant. This configuration can help to minimize the risk of water entering the enclosure, as any water that does enter the conduit would have to travel upwards to reach the termination blocks. The use of sealing locknuts on the conduit entries is another important factor. These locknuts provide a watertight seal, further reducing the risk of water ingress. Given these factors, it appears that your installation may meet the intent of the code, even without Myers hubs. However, the inspector's interpretation is ultimately what matters. It's possible that the inspector is applying a local amendment or has a specific concern about the potential for water to enter the enclosure. Without knowing the inspector's reasoning, it's difficult to say for sure why they are requiring Myers hubs. To understand the inspector's perspective, consider potential issues like condensation, temperature variations, or the specific environment where the installation is located. Condensation can form inside conduits due to temperature changes, and this moisture can accumulate and potentially cause corrosion or electrical problems. Temperature variations can also cause expansion and contraction of the conduit, which can loosen fittings and create gaps where water can enter. The specific environment where the installation is located can also play a role. For example, if the installation is in a coastal area, there may be a higher risk of saltwater intrusion, which can be very corrosive. Now let's discuss the recommended course of action. The first step is to have a direct conversation with the inspector. Explain your understanding of the NEC articles and how your installation meets those requirements. Ask the inspector to explain their specific concerns and the code sections they are relying on. It's important to approach this conversation in a respectful and collaborative manner. Your goal is to understand the inspector's perspective and find a solution that meets both the code requirements and their concerns. If the inspector still insists on using Myers hubs, ask them to provide a written explanation of their reasoning, including the specific code sections they are citing. This documentation will be helpful if you need to appeal the inspector's decision. If you are unable to resolve the issue with the inspector, the next step is to contact the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ. The AHA is the local agency responsible for enforcing the electrical code. This could be a city or county building department, or a state electrical board. Explain the situation to the AHA and provide them with all relevant documentation, including the inspector's written explanation, if you have it. Ask the AHA to review the installation and provide a final interpretation of the code requirements. The AHA decision is binding, and you must comply with their ruling. In some cases, it may be possible to request a variance from the code. A variance is an exception to the code that is granted by the AHA. To obtain a variance, you must demonstrate that your installation meets the intent of the code and that strict compliance with the code is impractical or unnecessary. Remember to document everything carefully throughout this process. Keep records of all conversations, emails, and written correspondence. This documentation will be essential if you need to appeal the inspector's decision or request a variance. Now let's consider some alternative solutions. If the inspector is concerned about water entering the enclosure, there may be other ways to address this concern without using Myers hubs. One option is to use a sealant around the conduit entrance. This sealant would create a watertight barrier, preventing water from entering the enclosure. Another option is to install a drip loop in the conduit. A drip loop is a section of conduit that is routed downwards before entering the enclosure. This allows any water that enters the conduit to drip out before it reaches the enclosure. Finally, it's important to ensure that the enclosure itself is properly sealed. Check the enclosure for any gaps or cracks and seal them with a suitable sealant. Also, make sure that the enclosure door is properly gasketed and that the gasket is in good condition. By taking these steps, you can minimize the risk of water entering the enclosure and potentially satisfy the inspector's concerns. In summary, understanding the relevant NEC articles, having a clear conversation with the inspector, and exploring alternative solutions are all crucial steps in resolving this issue. By taking a proactive and collaborative approach, you can ensure that your electrical installation is safe, compliant, and meets the requirements of all relevant codes and regulations. Remember that the goal is to create a safe and reliable electrical system, and by working together, you and the inspector can achieve this goal. Always prioritize safety and compliance, and never hesitate to seek clarification from the AHA if you have any doubts or concerns. Electrical codes and regulations are complex and constantly evolving, so it's essential to stay up to date on the latest requirements. Consider attending continuing education courses or subscribing to industry publications to stay informed. By investing in your knowledge and skills, you can ensure that you are providing safe and compliant electrical installations. Furthermore, it is important to consider the long-term maintenance of the electrical system. Regularly inspect the enclosure and conduit entries for any signs of damage or deterioration. Replace any damaged or worn components promptly to prevent potential problems. Proper maintenance is essential for ensuring the continued safety and reliability of the electrical system. In addition to the technical aspects, it's also important to maintain good communication with the customer. Explain the code requirements and the reasons for any specific installation methods. This will help the customer understand the importance of compliance and ensure that they are satisfied with the work. Building strong relationships with customers can lead to repeat business and positive referrals. Remember that your reputation as an electrical professional is built on your knowledge, skills, and integrity. Always strive to provide the best possible service and to uphold the highest standards of professionalism. By doing so, you will earn the trust and respect of your customers and colleagues. In conclusion, navigating electrical codes and regulations can be challenging, but by understanding the relevant requirements, communicating effectively, and prioritizing safety, you can ensure that your electrical installations are compliant, reliable, and safe. Always remember to consult the latest edition of the NEC and to seek clarification from the AHA if you have any questions or concerns. Electrical safety is everyone's responsibility, and by working together, we can create a safer and more reliable electrical infrastructure.